Travel is still something that's highly restricted in these times. So it's no wonder that hotels and resorts have no vacancies despite having unoccupied rooms. This begs the question, how will a nation that depends so much on tourism check out of this crisis? Welcome to Restart Business, a live learning platform powered by Project Ripple. Tourism is a major player in the Philippine economy. Hotels, resorts, and other forms of accommodations are vital components in the country's strong tourism presence. Philippine tourism is a 2.2 trillion national industry that accounts for 12.7% of the country's GDP, as of the October 2019 report. Early on, some hotels in Manila were used exclusively as quarantine centers and temporary housing for both frontliners and returning OFWs. Despite that, the brunt of both the pandemic and subsequent lockdown took a heavy toll, with around 75,000 hotel workers reportedly displaced, mainly due to just a few hotels only being allowed to open at like 20 to 30%, and the rest completely shut down. Let's take a look at what you might be expecting if you're looking to check into a hotel sometime soon.
With nearly 3 out of 4 hotel rooms empty across the nation, hotels are doubling down on hygiene measures to ease travelers' concerns. And it starts right as you enter the hotel. Plexiglass at the front desk, while encouraging keyless check-in to minimize interaction with the receptionist. Inside your room, visible signage confirming hotspots like the thermostat, remote control, shower handle have been cleaned. And if you're used to your toiletries being neatly organized on a hand towel by housekeeping, that's likely going away. In fact, Marriott expects a reduction in housekeeping during a guest stay.
On trending today, luxury hotels have refashioned their services. Non-essential staff like doormen are gone, and breakfast buffets, they're not going to be serving soon. Guests aren't even allowed to step out of rooms for just the simple things like requesting for linens and towels. Different hotels have come up with ways to ensure strict implementation of health regulations. Hotels have developed certifications for their own establishment with the most stringent testing in order to assure guests that they are safe. There are also changes in check-in and check-out procedures to promise minimal contact. The DOT, however, remains very optimistic that the recovery can happen quicker than expected due to a very strong domestic market, with emphasis on regaining the consumer confidence through transparency and collaboration of private sectors with local health authorities. Recently, approved tax incentives by the Board of Investments give hotels tax relief to shoulder expenses that cover the new upgrades to meet the new health regulations. You want to know how much the total bill is? Well, NEDA estimates tourism industry losses of around 60.25 billion over the 2-month lockdown. What a bill. As hotels in other Southeast Asian countries reopen and shift focus towards local tourism, destinations like Phuket, Hanoi, Bali are all targeting locals in order to restart business and cash flow. This can be seen as a test case to see how post-pandemic travel can look like in terms of regulations that hotels and resorts will implement when international travel resumes. It's definitely going to be a tough next few months for the hotel industry. But seeing the industry like this struggle is definitely heartbreaking. But as with any heartbreak, we pick ourselves up and we move on. Today, we have hoteliers who can share how we can get over this heartbreak. Starting off with the Vice President of Operations for Greater China for the Accor Group, the company behind Sofitel, Fairmont, Novotel, M Gallery, and more. Please welcome Goran Alex. The President of the San Juan Resort Restaurant Hotel Association, Tina Antonio. The President of the Hotel Sales and Marketing Association of the Philippines, Christine Urbanozo Ibarreta. And last but not the least, the President and CEO of Z Hostel, also known as the Father of Poblacion, Mr. Romel Marasigan. Welcome to the show, guys. How's everybody doing right now? Are you all stuck in your hotels right now, guys?
Yes.
Okay, I hear some parts are raining, some parts are not. So I hope everybody's having a good day. Okay,
Absolutely.
before we get to the meat of the conversation, we go to a segment we call hot takes. And in this segment, we ask everybody one question answerable by yes or no. So if you guys are ready with your cue cards, the question is, are hotels and resorts ready to open their doors this 2020? Yes or no? Please flash your answers. A big why? Is that yes, Goran, or is that why? Like, why?
Yes.
Okay, good. So a resounding yes from everybody. So everybody is really positive. Also in the hotel industry, so I'm also very positive that things will get back to normal. But at this point, we'd like to encourage our live viewers to key in their questions in the comment section so we can pick out special questions which will be answered by our esteemed panelists. We'd also like to remind the audience that there's an ongoing poll right now, and the poll asks, are hotels and resorts ready to open their doors this 2020? So we hope everybody started answering that, and we're going to pull up the results in a while. Okay, at this point, welcome to our segment called The Slant. Hotels are now allowed to operate 50% occupancy in areas under MGCQ. And the DOT has set new rules for hotels, including double occupancy and a rule that prohibits handshakes, among other things. So no more handshakes. So the question for everybody, and this is the slant, is what type of accommodations will have an advantage in the new normal? So we have people from the hostel industry, the resort industry, the inns, and of course we have the luxury hotels. And which type of accommodations do you think people will most likely prefer to go to? So let's start off. Let's do ladies first. Let's start, of course, with Miss Ma'am Christine Urbanozo Ibarreta from the HSMA.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. I believe that it would be the three-star and four-star hotels who will be getting most of the bookings because nowadays people are on budget. They want to travel, they want to be doing their staycations, but I believe that they want value for money as well.
So 3-star and 4-star hotels. That's your vote, Ma'am Tina. Ma'am Christine. Okay. Next up, we have Tina Antonio, of course, from the San Juan Resorts. What's your
Um,
bet, Tina?
the case here is because we're getting more. We have a while ago. I was at a meeting, and we are not allowed to get guests from Manila at all, even business guests. So, given the limitations that we have, a lot of the guests are going for um, inns, like two, 3-star hotels for 1 to 3-star hotels, actually, even motels here in the province. It's a bit different, of course, there in Manila, but for here, it's really budget. But there are those who do splurge on the weekends, like the Father's Day weekend. We did get some of them. Some of the members reported that they did receive guests who are just from town, and some of them are from, for example, Region 1. So we're getting more, and probably Airbnbs and transient homes will be getting a lot, at least for La Union.
Okay. So Tina, you're saying because you're not getting guests from Manila, the people that go to your resorts are mostly from around the area, so they're on a budget, right? That's what you're saying.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Next up, of course, we have the father of Poblacion, the guy who started it all, Mr. Romel Marasigan. What's your forecast?
Hi, Stephen. So, I'm surprised that for us at a hostel, we were thinking that maybe we wouldn't be considered because it would be a shared space. But what's happened is we realized that a lot of people are still looking for a budget alternative, especially people who work together in an office who actually spend a lot of time together. It's almost like the same household. So hostels might become a possible option for people with a budget.
Got it. So you're talking about just people who are working together, but so far there haven't hasn't been any regulations by government saying that there should only be two people in one room. Because I know hostels, they share a lot of people in one room, right?
Yes. Yeah, so we follow the government guidelines of having
Uh,
50% occupancy in a room. So,
okay.
for example, an eight-pack dorm would have four, sometimes even
Oh,
three,
okay.
right? But
Okay.
they all work together in the same company, in the same department, even using the same table. So that's the something I did not anticipate, but happy to see that
Mm.
that's the possibility for a hostel.
Yeah, that's definitely a very positive outlook. Okay, Goran, Alex is all the way in China, and you are first in, first out of this whole pandemic. So, what do you see? How do you see? Which type of accommodations do you see coming back first?
Hey, Stephen, thanks for being on the show. Um, I left the Philippines many years ago, so I can't really judge how is the Philippines doing at the moment. But from the China perspective, is that we don't believe that only economic hotels have a lot of advantage, but especially the five-star hotels are the one who are now the one who needs to reduce the rates, being competitive with the three and four-star hotels. But most important, the sentiments of the guests about the safety and security. So, what the clients in China are looking out to is what kind of safety measurements you're providing to your travelers. So there will be a strong focus on: do you have a hygiene officer in place? How do you serve people? I'll give you a sample. When we order food from other places, there need to be a body temperature measurement of the person who delivered the food to you. Hygiene procedures like disinfection of your hands, of your face protection, and so on. So there's a lot of different things in different areas. Unfortunately, in our country, in China, hostels and so on are totally closed because of the amount of people sharing the same spaces is still a little bit differently viewed here in China.
Got it. Okay, so the way I'm seeing it is everybody has a different point of view, and also probably because you guys are all addressing a different type of market, which is actually very positive if you look at it. So there's no one particular segment that we feel will get ahead of everybody else at this point, at least. Okay, so now that we've heard the slant of everybody, we're gonna have Goran and Romel exit for now. Just for now, we're gonna bring you guys back because we
Mhm.
want to get the perspectives of these two powerful women in the accommodation industry as we focus on a broader, more macro perspective because they handle associations and they handle a collective. So we'll see you in a bit, Romel and Goran. Christine and Tina, how are you guys? I was admiring the floral arrangement of Ma'am Christine, who's also, of course, the director and sales and marketing for the Golden Phoenix Group. And Tina also, of course, has her own resort in San Juan. Okay, so the first question is for Tina, straight up. What is the status of La Union's tourism now that it's under NGCQ? I always thought that La Union would be one of the first few to recover because it's driving distance, so people don't have to take a plane. So what's the status, Tina?
Um, so we had a meeting this morning with the municipality of San Juan, with the mayor's office. So they recently released a memorandum order that even though we're MGCQ, because of what happened in Cebu, where there was
Mm.
an increase, a spike in cases, they are closing down the borders for both leisure and business travelers here in La Union. So until when, I have no idea. It might change next week or the weeks to follow.
Yeah.
We're just looking at, like, we're just waiting basically, but we can accept guests from Ilocos Sur, Ilocos Norte, Pangasinan, and of course La Union.
So you're
So
not you're not accepting customers just from Manila, but everywhere else from the north you're allowed.
yes, they're allowed
Oh,
from
okay.
Region 1. So Region 1 is allowed.
Region is
The
allowed.
the new memorandum order was just released today.
Okay.
So the past weeks, there were some establishments that have accepted guests from Manila on business purposes. some
Mm,
even on leisure purposes. So a lot of us got penalties from the
mm,
mayor's office because of
yeah.
this. There were those who were some of their business permits were pulled out because of not
Wow.
following um, the memorandum order. So we're just waiting for. Actually, it's a wait and see for everyone. For me personally, I have a really for compared to the hotel owners that you have there. My establishment is pretty small, micro to small. We just recently got into small, but of course for us, micro, small, and medium enterprises, we're looking at the bigger models, which is Marriott, and of course, like the Hilton hotels of this world. And we're looking at ways on how we can also um, follow without spending too much. Um, Most businesses have already a safety health officer. That's a requirement of the Department of Labor and Employment.
Mm,
Um, but still, of course, new PPEs are additional costs. Trainings to get those certifications will have additional costs. So we're still given we're on a standstill now. We're just waiting.
mm,
We do get maybe we get 20% occupancy from around Region 1, but we are getting a lot of inquiries from Metro
mm.
Manila, Greater Metro Manila, and other parts of the country.
Yeah,
So,
definitely Metro Manila's itching to get out of Manila.
yes, and there are even those who have been reported to go
Uh,
and pass checkpoints, you know,
wow,
and they
okay.
come here and we're like, why is this guy here?
Yeah.
So we have to we
You
really
have to
work
report them.
yeah, we really have to work closely with our
Yes.
um, public partners because we can't really do the enforcement alone. Like we can't do
Yes.
it. It's illegal for us to do it. So we
Yeah.
usually mention it to our barangay captains or our PNP
Mm.
enforcers because they're really not allowed to come here yet.
Yeah. So mental note for everybody planning to try to guerrilla it to LU, don't, because you're putting the whole industry at risk. Similar to what happened to Boracay. You know, the whole Boracay was about to open and they got shut down. So I guess what I'm taking from what you're saying also, Tina, is that, you know, the mistake of one can mean the end for all. So we have to be really careful. Thank you so much, Tina, for giving us an update on what's happening in La Union. At this point, naman, Christine, being running the hotel sales and marketing for the different different hotels, how are you trying to regain consumer confidence, like in your conversations with customers? You know, we call them FITs for, you know, people calling in, right? So how do you regain their confidence so that they can come back to these different hotels that are under your association?
For us, it safety, security, cleanliness, sanitation is important. In fact, we have an example. My hotel, which is Golden Phoenix Hotel, has this safe travels from World um, the World Travel and Tourism Council, recognizing our hotel for safe travels stamp. And we have this campaign. It says safe mode, safe stay, safe stay. So very important is that we are ensured that there's safety and security and sanitation, cleanliness of the hotel before we can even ask our clients and even our employees to go ahead and restart and open the hotels.
Okay.
For I'm sorry. And recently, for the hotels in Metro Manila, we're very fortunate that we're getting a lot. We got a lot of bookings, and at the same time, occupancy is rather high because we were accommodating repatriated
Mm.
Filipinos, ROFs, returning overseas Filipinos.
Okay. So that's good to hear. That Manila is actually, the occupancy rate in Manila is higher because of these repatriated workers. But Ma- Ma'am Christina, my question is, who's paying for the bill? Is it the government, or are they being forced to pay for their own bills?
No, it's the OWA who's paying for the
OWA. Okay, that's good.
repatriate. Yeah, OWA.
Okay,
But
okay,
for the returning overseas Filipinos, it's themselves.
okay,
They pay for it.
okay. So, but at least there's also some sort of income coming in for the hotels, even if it's at a highly discounted rate, no?
That's
Okay.
right. And to
Sige.
and also to give work to those who have been not working for the past months.
Okay. Okay, so now my question again for Tina naman. Tina, La Union or LU is known for its, parties, its, no social distancing in LU. Do you see people coming back to LU despite the fact that there's going to be very, very strict social distancing rules?
Um, I think they will always be in love with La Union, regardless
Mm.
of the social distancing. The fact that we are getting guests who have guerrillaed their way here, with even with fake permits and fake health certificates. They went here just to come here. There were even cases that there was a case 2 days, 3 days ago. They were with a kid. I don't know how they passed the checkpoint. They were with their kids from, I think they were from Bulacan, and they just wanted to go to the beach.
Got it.
So I'm pretty hopeful given uh, the immense illegal activities from our guests from Manila. I think they will come here regardless of the social distancing. The space is pretty big. Um, there will probably be new guidelines for partying now,
Hmm.
um, that we haven't figured out yet. We may be looking at doing even social distancing on the beach.
Hmm.
Uh, but it is possible, as long as we do have guidelines and the guidelines are communicated.
Yeah, well, La Union is definitely magical, Tina. Christine, last question before I let you guys rest for a while. You mentioned a while ago that you are, implementing all of these health and safety procedures in your hotel, and I'm sure as an association, you're collaborating with each other to make sure that all the hotels under your group follow these procedures, right? My question is, are you also collaborating with the government? Because I'm sure it's the government that will give you the approval to use these procedures.
We are closely in touch and coordinating with the Department of Tourism, the Tourism Promotions Board, and even some government offices like the OWA and IATF. So all the guidelines, all the memorandums are sent to us, and even the Tourism Congress of the Philippines, led by its president Jojo Clemente, we are closely monitoring all our members that they implement such guidelines, or else they have the penalty, or their hotels would be closed, and
Got
there's no
it.
more business.
Yeah, and I think the DOT will certify hotels that can open only, right? So if they don't go
Yes.
to these procedures, okay, that's good. We have a video question from one resort owner from Siargao, and let's hear what she has to say.
Hi, I'm Bianca Manalang, guest house owner on Siargao Island. And my question is, how effective do you think the new safety measures of the DOT will be post-COVID? For example, hostels in particular. How will they be able to comply with the measure of not mingling with occupants of other rooms when guests who stay in this kind of accommodation actually share rooms?
Wow, it's a very relevant question to what we were discussing, Ma'am Christine. So the question is, how do we know that these measures are actually effective? And I guess the half of the question is for Tina, because the question is, you know, I mean, in La Union, everybody is commingling, and like you said, how will you really, prevent this from happening when in the darkness, people are just going to rooms of each other, diba? So I guess okay, let's start with Christine. Christine, how effective do you think these measures are? Are these just paper regulations?
I believe that those guidelines were implemented or were recommended for our own safety. And I believe that as employees of the hotel, they are careful not to have this virus. and that's why they abide by it. And also for our co-hotels, members of HSMA, we check each other out whether we're complying or not.
Yeah, and I'm sure, Ma'am Christine, these regulations are backed up by science and research din naman, right? Okay, so Tina, so how do we prevent the mingling of occupants of other rooms who are not encouraged? How do we do that in La Union
When
specifically?
when the guidelines were presented to us, it was pretty clear that the guidelines were only for big hotels, for boutique hotels, rooms with single and double occupancy. There are no guidelines for hostels yet, actually. That is something that probably the owners of hostels need to work with the government on to brainstorm for a particular guidelines for hostels, because the culture of the hostel industry is different. For example, last January, um, I went to Z Hostel for 3 nights alone, just to experience the hostel scene. And it's really different from what I have here, which is a bed and breakfast. Um, and right now, the guidelines aren't enough, because although the DOT guidelines specifically said that rooms should only have maximum of two, they also released a set of guidelines after that statement that hotels and accommodation establishments can receive 50% of the occupancy rate. So that's where there is confusion. So I think that as of now, there are no guidelines for hostels. We're trying, friends of mine who do have hostels here are really trying to create a model that they can present to the DOT so that they can have a specific set of guidelines. Because
Yeah.
right now
Okay.
there are no guidelines for hostels.
So right
Okay,
now it's still confused. It's still confusing, but it's getting there. We
it's
actually
getting
invited somebody from DOT, but unfortunately, their schedule did not permit it. So maybe in our next episode, we can feature naman what the government's final regulations are. So thank you so much, Tina and Christine. We're gonna have you back in a while. You've heard it from two of the industry associations, powerful women. Now it's time to hear from two men behind some of the most iconic hotel and hostel brands. Please welcome Mr. Goran Alex and Romel Marasigan. Hello, guys.
Welcome
Hello.
back.
I like your set, Goran. I know you're in a construction site right now, but I like how you did it up. Romel, of course, you are in Z Hostel, so you're still working despite the pandemic. First question for Goran: since China was first in and first out, I guess you guys are 2.5 months ahead right now. What were the practices that proved effective in helping luxury hotels under Accor navigate different quarantine regulations internationally? Not just, I mean, I guess you can speak for the whole of China because that's your area.
Well, as now mentioned several times, safety is the number one we put focus on, and our guest travelers are now to start with. First started all with quarantine, the same way it's now in the Philippines. The next travelers are going to be mainly, of course, people within the country. It's going to be domestic travel. Out of domestic travel, if you then break it down, you're going to have the beginning more of the young travelers without family. The elderly most likely won't travel for the time being until until there's more safety feeling there. One thing I can assure you in the Philippines is when you're in a pandemic, it always looks worse than when you're a little bit further out of it. Now, I think it's important to keep this alert feeling, because with this cautious and with this fear, you're more careful and you're more you're practicing more carefulness. However, I can commit to you, I promise you, things will get better. We have now a very small amount of COVID cases here in China. There's always little outbreaks left and right because of the size of the country. However, things will get better. And there is a very strong focus on domestic travel and thinking out of the box. You will not be any more the hotelier you were before. You will have to look after your community. You're going to be a delivery service. You're going to be a laundry service for your community where you live. So hospitality will change definitely compare how it was before.
You mentioned a while ago that the hotels they're not going to be what they used to be, and you also mentioned that I think Sofitel is reaching out to the community and performing a new role. Can you expound more on this, Goran?
Accor Hotels, we have over 3,500 hotels worldwide, and we created a program called Accor Neighbors. And Accor Neighbors is serving your community within where you live. So there's different needs. I would say, for example, if you are a hotel next to office building, we provide laundry services. We deliver breakfast and lunch and dinner boxes to the offices, to the homes. Guests they trust international brands. They trust a brand who has history, a brand who has safety measures worldwide. So we have a lot of businesses from our community, and this business model just changed. We have more and more requests where guests and clients are insisting to have a room, but as well an office built in. So, for example, where they can do Zoom conference calls, right? The right lighting, the right environment, the right setup. This is going to be one of the rooms you see now in my background, where we have Zoom conference facilities for our clients. The business travel in general will definitely get less because we realized that we can do conferences the way we're doing it now. It is possible. Before it was like, let's fly over there, let's go there. Now we'll be more picky to which conference we are flying over and which one we are really attending physically.
We're definitely very interesting to see such a big brand become so agile, to even act like an entrepreneur startup, that's just pivoting the different directions. Thank you so much, Grant, for that answer. At this point, I'm going to ask Romel, being the forerunner of the hostel industry. I mean, there were hostels before you, but there was none as popular as Z Hostel. What are the challenges that you're encountering? I know you mentioned some of it a while ago, but what are the other challenges that you're encountering, and how are you addressing it right now?
Yeah. So Stephen, when the COVID-19 hit, it's quite intimidating because again, the difference between a hotel and a hostel is the letter S, and S stands for social, as they say. And instead of focusing on the weaknesses we had, we focused on the strengths. And some of these are people don't realize as a hostel we also have private rooms. I mean, almost half of our rooms are private rooms. So we're able to adopt and accept one guest per room. So that was a possibility for us. The other thing that we realized as well is that our pricing is a lot lower than a private room for a dorm room, for example. So sometimes we now have converted some of our dorm rooms to only accept one person. So a 4-pax dorm might only have one. But there are instances wherein a company would require 2 people in a 4-pax dorm, and they all work together anyway. So the social distancing is not so strictly implemented because they're together. It's almost like living in the same household, right? And the fourth trick we realized is that our location makes it very convenient for a lot of companies in Makati to stay at Z and avoid all these checkpoints going home and being exposed to the virus. So everybody just stayed in Z, like for example, call centers. We have a few call centers, and their office is about 10 minutes from Z. So nobody goes anywhere from the call center to Z and then back into their office. Those are the only 2 areas. And we realized that our possible weaknesses became our strength. And so that's how we've adopted so far.
Correct. So especially Romel, the locations of hostels are typically very strategic because it's not about the accommodations, it's about the location. So I'm so impressed that you guys have converted your hostels to more of a dormitory model now, right? That's kind of like what you're doing now, right?
Yes, that's correct. That's
Galing.
correct.
Very good, very good. I'm so impressed. So, Goran and Romel, you guys are both very entrepreneurial, very innovative. But I have another question for Goran. And the question is, considering that there are countries that have eased quarantine regulations, what do you think is the general challenge for luxury hotels? Not just for Accor, but luxury hotels in general. I know Sofitel is very, very innovative, but like in general, will people really spend that much money right now to travel?
Things change, of course, and Sofitel is one of our brands. We have over 36 brands worldwide with the leading hotel, Raffles Hotels and Fairmont. All our hotels are, of course, struggling in regards to average rate. However, to give you a little bit ideas about occupancy levels, if Hong Kong was running occupancy in the past of 90+%, they're running now around 50 to 60. In China, in the main cities like Shanghai and Beijing, the occupancy levels were around 80%. Now we are around 40 to 50. Now, what we're doing now at the moment is to ensure we have enough cash flow for the employees to be paid, to supplier to be paid. Now, going back to your question, do five-star hotels suffer? Definitely yes, in regards to having a high return back or profitability for the hotel owners. However, that's the secondary importance. At the moment is to restart, as your show calls it, to restart the economy, to restart the business. And once this is happening, business will come back anyway. So it's only about to ensure that in this time, you are still strong enough to survive in regards to being able to pay your employees, being able to pay your suppliers, electricity and the normal cost you're running. Or we are anticipating that September this year, we're going to be back to our occupancy levels. However, we're going to have at least 30 to 40% a lower average rate throughout the brands. Is it from 2-star to 5-star plus hotels in Greater China? The next step is, of course, then to build on as soon as possible. I would say by end of the year, hopefully the travel ban will be lifted. And then you're going to have the first airlines which are coming back, domestic travel, the overseas travelers. Then things will start to be more and more back to normal. However, this depends, of course, on how much outbreaks and how the second wave is going to develop.
Correct. So you mentioned that your objective now is to just bring back the occupancy rate, but the profitability is not a priority, right? That's what I got in a way.
I would say the cash flow, and the cash flow is at the moment,
yes.
the cash flow is to get as many customers as possible to lift occupancy. As Christine mentioned, people are on a short budget. It means you need to adapt to it. So we do not sell anymore just accommodation, but we offer a full package. It means there's breakfast, lunch, dinner, spa included. So this is
even
how
the
you
spa.
get,
Okay.
even the spa is included. So you work with local spas to assist you with the businesses. At the same time, you're ensuring that you, of course, pre-booking, there's less traction between the people. You can't just walk in the spa and have a massage. You need to pre-book. There's a pre-function area, a pre-wait area. So you're trying to have as less contact as possible.
Got it. Okay, Romel, hostels, and it's been mentioned a while ago. You mentioned it a while ago. S is about the social factor. Do you see this coming back anytime too? The sociability, people mingling within the hotel, or they're all wearing PPEs, or will this be a thing of the past?
Well, so Stephen, my view is that I think human beings are social in principle, and so I think that it'll come back soon enough, and especially with Filipinos, we're more sociable than a lot of cultures, and so I think it's going to bounce back at some point, but we just have to strap on and wait for this to go to run its course.
Hang on for the ride, tama. Okay, right now we have a video question from the President of the Tourism Congress of the Philippines, Mr. Jojo Clemente. Let's hear what he has to ask.
Hi, here's my question. Considering the pandemic we're in right now, how can the hoteliers and the tour operators work together to revitalize the industry?
Okay. So in the spirit of collaboration, the question is, how can tour operators help hoteliers? Yeah, because tour operators, for our viewers who are not hoteliers, they're the people that really bring the big tour groups or the big travel groups into the different hotels. So, who wants to take a crack at it? Goran, you wanna start?
Look, the question is it's really about what's happening in the world, how much waves we're going to have from COVID. That we are going to work very closely with the tour operators is out of question. It's a part of our business. So I can't give you a concrete answer because it really depends on how things are going. Just a short sample: Beijing last week, we ran 40 to 50% occupancy. Everything was perfect. The company started to travel. Huawei and all the corporate are starting to go around Beijing. One day to another one, we had over 50 cases of COVID on a market. The whole city was closed down, and one day to another one, our occupancy level went from 50% to 7%. Right?
Wow.
I don't think so. Yeah, it was like really one day. So what happened is the whole city is separate in different districts, and they got the health code was then turned into red. So you were not allowed to leave your district. You're not allowed to go to your office. Now, do we work closely with this corporate people, with the wholesale market? Yes, we do. But it's really out of control, and it's in the hands of how the government and how the government and the health department actually react. Yeah, is
Goran,
working.
are you gonna be more flexible with these tour operators in terms of like cancellations? Like, for example, they've already booked tours from even domestically. But what if there's an
Absolutely.
outbreak? Okay, so flexibility is also part of your program.
Yeah, Accor Worldwide is offering zero cost cancellation. You can book it anytime. You can cancel it anytime without any cancellation fees.
Okay. Romel, do you work with any tour operators at this point, or it's not part of your business model?
We do work with quite a few actually, especially certain groups that bring international clients to the Philippines for a week
Yeah.
or 2 weeks. And it's true what you mentioned. It's about flexibility, and that's the main concern. I mean, what happens if there are new guidelines that change? So what happens to the sometimes they have deposits and advanced payments, and that's by providing them flexibility. Then we could see that it's the numbers are still growing. We already have bookings for September, for example, and but the fact that they know that they can move it to another date without any cost, or also even getting back their refunds if need be. That's allowing them now to start booking, even if they're not sure how things are going to be.
Yeah, at least they book it. At
Yes,
least
that's
there's a semblance of hope both for the traveler and the hotel operator. Okay.
Right.
So thank you so much, guys. Right now we're gonna bring in our other two guests because we are now going into a live Q&A portion where we get questions from the audience. At this point, though, we want to bring up the results of the first poll. We asked people, are hotels and resorts ready to open their doors this 2020? I don't know if they're hoteliers or just travelers, but you know what? 62% say yes. So that's definitely a good sign that we are, or 63% say yes. So definitely a good sign that we're going to try to reopen within 2020. We are now going to launch a new poll because we want to ask, in case resorts open, what type of accommodations are you willing or are you most likely to book? Is it hotels and resorts? Is it shared accommodations like hostels and inns? Or is it private homes or alternative accommodations like Airbnb, glamping, etc.? So please key in your answer so we can put some insight in our conversation when we discuss it with the panel. Okay. At this point, we'd like to get advice from hoteliers on how we can check out the Heartbreak Hotel and restart our accommodations industry. But we're going to pull up some questions from the audience. Okay, so our first question is, do we have a question now? Let's see. Okay, there's a question here from Julius Marlon de la Cruz. And the question is, how do you best balance social responsibility in providing jobs to hotel employees versus making profit or generating revenue for the business? I'm going to direct this first question to Grant because there was news that I read somewhere that Sofitel is planning to rehire 100% of its employees back. Is this true, Goran?
It's correct to all the Accor hotels. And again, what I mentioned to you before about bringing the occupancy levels up, this is exactly the way how it works. To be the occupancy levels up, it means you need your employees back. So as soon as possible, you're running a high occupancy, you're going to have all your employees being back to work. Now, this is the first start. Yes, the profitability is going to be lower, but it doesn't matter because you can pay our employees, our artists, the way we call them by Accor hotels, artists. And secondly, to pay our suppliers, energy costs, and so on.
Okay, so profits will take a dip as long as you guys are breaking even and you want to bring back as many employees as you can. So I like
No,
that.
sorry. Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
No profit is there. We are
No
all
profit,
minus,
yes.
and there's no profit. We are
Oh,
all
okay.
losing money. Yeah, that's
Deficit.
important to understand. Yeah,
Okay,
we're
okay.
all
Even
losing.
deficit. Okay.
It's about just minimizing the loss. Put it this
Okay,
way,
so not
minimizing the
even break
loss.
even, yeah. Okay, so I
No,
like
not
that.
yet.
Heartists. I like heartists.
Artists, yes.
We'd like to welcome, of course, watching the show. We have people like Jessica Gulapa. We have Tin Manlapas. We have Eric D. Ryan Cabanero. We have Jimmy Cosculwela, who's also a veteran hotelier. Miro Jurek, and a lot more other guys. Okay, so we have another question. Let's throw in another question, guys. Question is from Jessica Gulapa. What is the number one single biggest challenge that the industry is facing in light of the current restrictions? And how do you propose to address this? So just one. So she just wants to know what's the number one problem. So let's start off with Christine.
I
Number one
believe
problem.
number one problem is money, revenue.
Money.
Um, yes, it's really the
Yeah.
problem nowadays because if people do not work, they don't have money to spend for anything,
Correct.
for even for their food and more so their accommodation. I think the COVID-19 is
Yeah.
what you call an economic tsunami.
An economic tsunami. Yes, I agree. More than a tsunami, earthquake and tornado all combined. Okay, so money for you, Tina. What's the number one single problem? If there was just one, what's the
It's
most?
connected to Miss Christine's answer, but it's
Mhm.
more of the uncertainty, the sudden
Mm,
changes that we have both from mostly from the public sector deciding on what to do overnight. For example,
mm,
what uh, Goran mentioned, just one night, suddenly it's different.
yeah,
I
right.
mentioned earlier that we were getting business guests last week, just today, it's not
Mm,
allowed.
yes,
So it's really the uncertainty of the situation. I think that's
yes.
the number one problem,
So
and how
that's
our current set of leaders are addressing each. Are they proactive or are they
yeah,
reactive?
and I'm
So
sure you want our leaders to be more certain in these
yes,
uncertain times. Okay, Romel, number one problem.
Well, for me, it is really the uncertainty that Tina's mentioned, and number two, the revenues. No, the
Mm,
uncertainty is you know you know we don't have enough information about the COVID-19, and that makes it very difficult to plan. Like for example, safety precautions that is being suggested now might not be necessary in 2 weeks. It's just because of the lack of information, and I think that's the biggest challenge for us. We don't
mm.
have enough time to prepare.
Okay. Um, there's a question again here from Katie this time. So the question is, despite there's a demand, there's going to be a demand coming back from the domestic market. If you had a crystal ball, could you actually see how long it would take to bring it back to its old form or old shape? Goran, being the fortune teller that you are.
Honestly, I again putting the waves by side. For China, we believe in September we're going to be actually able to go to more reasonable occupancy levels, and with restricted inbound travel from certain countries only. For China at the moment, we are focusing on first Korea, Taiwan, Japan, and a little bit more safer country for now, with less cases or cases more under control. Later on, we're going to open up for countries from overseas. At the moment, we do not see any future opening for United States. because the controlling systems and the rise of COVID cases is so high that there's a very strong concern of the Chinese government to open up to these countries. So, sorry, to
Got it.
answer your question, September
Yeah.
for China, and we
September
believe
for
for China
September
and probably
2020 or September 2025?
September 2020 for China,
2020.
and
Okay.
we believe that by half of next year we're going to have a recovery in the other cities and other countries.
Okay, that's very hopeful, Garan, and especially coming from China, that's very hopeful because the Chinese market definitely loves to travel. So, does anybody want to add anything to that, or you guys all kind of agree that this is the time frame that we're looking at?
Um,
Any agree?
can Stephen,
Yes,
can
go
I?
ahead. Go ahead, Romel. Go ahead.
So for us, we have two markets. No, we have the foreign market and the local market because
Yeah.
60%, about 60% to 70% of our sales come from our F&B. And we
Okay.
think that F&B might, we feel that if that's going to come back in the last quarter of the year. So that's October, November, December. For the
Got it.
international market, based on what we've seen, we're looking at January. I mean, it's after 2020. So a lot of people have been writing 2020 off, and I think they're looking into the start of next year for the international market.
Got it. Okay. Um, right now, I want to ask everybody one question, and the question is: what are the trends? What specific trends do you see happening in the next couple of months? Like, are there going to be robots? I hear there are going to be, you're going to send robots to sanitize rooms and all of these things. So maybe you guys can share some insights. Christine, you want to start this off?
Trends, marketing trends. There's gonna
Yes,
be
marketing trends.
revenge marketing, meaning people who were locked down for the longest time for the past two,
Mm,
3 months will now be going to malls to shop and to buy those new clothes or shoes. So that's revenge marketing, and that would be staycations,
mm,
more staycations, and um, drive to LU or nearby
nearby.
provinces.
Mm.
Yeah.
Do you think it's gonna be the nearby? I mean, did I get it right? Did you say revenge marketing? Like,
Yes,
okay, babawi sila for being locked down for so long. So,
that's right. You want to go to the restaurants.
correct. Do you see that people are gonna be going to destinations that don't need airfare? Is that the trend that you're seeing, Christine?
Yes, yes.
Definitely.
In fact, that's also what the Tourism Promotions Board and the Tourism Congress and the DOT is promoting. So they drive first to the nearby destinations
Mm,
because some of them may be still afraid of taking the plane.
okay.
So
Okay, that's good news for LU. So, Tina, what are the trends that you're seeing? What
Uh,
new things are you going to be doing in
so
LU?
we started opening our doors last June 15, and what we've noticed in terms of the F&B and some accommodation establishments is the increase in online banking transfers, GCash, Paymaya, for like transacting, even even in like stores and like groceries. So that has increased, given that the culture in provinces like this is more of like
Mm.
cash payment. So we're seeing more online transfers. In terms of stays, we're looking at workations, long term.
Okay.
We have had of um, a lot of inquiries on like a month long stay or a whole 14-day quarantine stay who would just like to
Mm.
work there. And um, given companies in Manila are already doing
Work from home.
from home, companies are also, I think, encouraging them to work from home. So they would rather
Yeah.
work in a
From a
destination
beach.
like La Union, right?
Yes, you're right.
So the trend is probably for us here in La Union to get better internet service.
Yes, that's it. I was going to say, as long as you get better internet service.
to accommodate those stays.
Yes. Otherwise, you can't surf the web, just the waves. Sorry, that was
Yes.
really bad.
And right now, I think there are guests aren't allowed to go on the beach at all.
Oh, so they can just see they can just enjoy the ambiance, kumbaga. Which is still, I mean, it's still a big difference than just looking at the four walls of your house, right? So
Yes.
okay, that's actually a good trend. I like that word, workcation. So stand by and watch out for that, and then a lot of digital online payments. Romel, what are the trends that you see?
So for us, we see that there's going to be the new normal would be the low touch, low touch economy, and that
Mm.
would mean more online, more use of technology for people to book and even check in. We're looking into using your phone to check in on your own. Self check in
Mm.
is one. The other one is cashless. Definitely that. No. We also see that people are looking into staying in the hostel and also working from the rooms. So we've had our guests that are checked in now have asked for permission to bring in entire desktops for the entire team. So those are, I think, the new trends to
Mm.
have flexibility, to be able to use the room not just for
Yeah.
sleeping but also for work. I think that's
Yeah, well,
the
definitely you have to take into consideration electricity bills will definitely increase. So
yes.
that's going to be a new normal also. Goran, what are the new trends for you over at China?
I'm listening very carefully the way you're perceiving the future, and I can tell you things will get back to normal. We don't
Yeah.
have robots cleaning off our rooms, and we have no glass protection at reception. We're shaking hands, and we are in bars and restaurants. We celebrate. We have fully booked restaurants, and we do not have everywhere spacing anymore. We will get control over this COVID-19. There will be an antidote hopefully in the next couple of months or maybe a year, and then things will turn back to normal. That's what it is.
That's
It
the
is
trend that
good.
you're seeing, Goran. Yeah.
This is good. I'm very happy that I hear how in the Philippines people are still so worried about, because we were as much as worried as you were this time, and we were very careful what we have done. Today, looking backwards, we can see we were maybe overreacting, but therefore we were
You
quick
prepared
out of
well.
this. We prepared well, but
Yeah.
life will come back. Life will come back. Trust me.
No, it's really good to hear that, Goran. Especially China, they're very used to having these sort of pandemics.
Yes.
So you have had SARS, you've had different types of similar problems in the past. So it's not as shocking as it is for the Philippines that's actually experiencing for the first time. So very inspiring that hopefully we are overreacting in the Philippines, but if we
In a
are
good
not
way. It's in a good way.
overreacting,
Huh?
i hope
In a
i
very
hope
good
we
way.
are preparing well, so that's a good thing. So nice to see different perspectives. Okay, at this point, guys, we would like to get the advice from our hoteliers to see how we can check out of the Heartbreak Hotel and restart our accommodations industry. So we're gonna call on them one by one, and then they're gonna give us a 2 minute to tell us how to restart the hotel and resort industry. Let's start off with Mr. Goran Alex.
Can you repeat again? I didn't. I lost you for a second,
Oh,
Stephen.
it's okay. So right now it's the time for you to give us your 2 minute restart segment on how what advice you're
Correct.
gonna give hoteliers.
Think out of the box. Do not stuck into your old ways. Be creative. Include your community. Get your employees as soon as possible back on board. Don't focus on profitability only, but focus on getting business in. Be open for new ideas, and involve your generations, your younger generation, in what they really want. What is the future trends? Is it, as Romel mentioned, a digital payment? Is it future cryptocurrency, how you pay in advance, or have a less touching of paper money, which I believe will disappear anyway over the next couple of years. Start to work with companies. For example, we outsourcing our gyms to Lululemon or other brands, because we have very strong brand association with different communities. Look after social projects where you can get people on a social disadvantage level working in your hotels and helping you out. Um, Short 2 minutes, but I speak quicker. So
That's good enough. That's good enough, Goran. So I like what you said, that it's all about also social responsibility to make sure that you make
Yeah.
the best use of your brand, especially if your brand has a lot of equity. Okay, next up we have, of course, Romel Marasigan of Z Hostel.
So for us, the advice I can give is that no, first of all, of course, making the staff and the guests safe. Um, that would help people start coming back to hotels and hostels. And the other one I'd like to advise is that um, to to anticipate that the recovery would be gradual. It's not going to be back 100% right away. We believe that people should anticipate that it's going to take a few months to 6 months to recover to what it was before. And with these, you have to adjust the numbers and even anticipate a bit of losses if necessary, just to go on and strap down during this uncertainty. And also, I think that the recovery should be spaced out. The other advice I have is, before we used to plan per year or every 5 years. Now we learn to plan per month instead of per quarter. We're doing it now month to month and trying to adopt even per week, in fact, with the governing guidelines. And finally, is that we advise that focus on different markets now, markets, including all the new markets coming up, which is related to quarantine. That,
Thank you, Romel. And your phone is burning up because you have a lot of business. I think that's a lot of business calling you now. But definitely, you're saying is focus on different markets. Don't focus on your traditional market. That's a good point that you made. Next up, we have Tina Antonio from the SJRRHA.
So I guess for me, it's really community building. We're all like micro small businesses here, and that's probably 70% of what we have around the Philippines, especially in provinces. Build your community, take care of your staff first. Um, Focus on working together. Right now, a lot of us are doing like selling. We've even done delivery service. Um, Work with what you have. Try to actually work with your local government, even your barangay, when you have concerns about certain parts of your specific guidelines or whatever guidelines that they have. Just to share, before the quarantine started, the association, together with some residents, tried to stop a tree, 2-century tree, from getting cut. And while this isn't really business, it gives the community that culture. That's what San Juan is. Surf Town San Juan is known for, being environmentalist, being nature loving, being laid back, um, but still nature loving. And during the quarantine, we didn't really expect much. We expected the trees to be cut during the quarantine when DPWH was planning to already start the construction. But before that, we had several public hearings with our partners from the DPWH, and most of us were still stuck at home. But the last time I checked, they actually made drains around the tree, even though there was no agreement that they would do it. They just did it anyway. So this is what I think working with your government partners can do. Um, Sometimes you just need to talk to them. You don't need to rally. We almost did, but what we did first was actually to talk with our government partners, and that's what we need now. And I think that's also the reason why even a small business community like San Juan is thriving, because of our opportunity to work with our local government and to be part
Definitely.
of changing the system.
Yeah, I think Tina, the pandemic really has brought the best in people, and that's what I'm seeing also in San Juan. And to everybody out there that have resorts and hotels, come together as a community in your own different areas because things can be solved better that way. And I also liked your point that you're doing other businesses pivoting towards deliveries and all that because after all, hoteliers are entrepreneurs. So if you're an entrepreneur, you're gonna do whatever it takes to survive. Thank you very so much, Tina. Christine, for the last word on your restart.
For the restart, I'd like to quote Secretary Berna Romulo Puyat. She says that there is more to tourism than just counting numbers of arriving tourists. We are in the business of selling destinations, so communities will thrive. We market adventure, so our people will be employed. We promote culture as a way of preserving our heritage. The concept of tourism is deeply embedded in our consciousness. So we Filipinos are resilient from old, and we have overcome challenges in the past. We've had so many problems, but there are solutions, and solutions are very near to come by September, probably, as what Mr. Garan said. And we're very optimistic that we'll get over this and we will heal as one and we will be together to promote the Philippines to the world. Thank you.
Very inspiring, Ma'am Christine, and definitely domestic travel. Let's support all our hotels and resorts. Once the travel restrictions are eased, let's all visit these different beautiful places around the Philippines. Okay, so thank you so much, guys. I've again learned so much from everybody. Being also in the hotel industry, it is a big challenge for us. But my one last bonus question for everyone: paano naman yung islands? How about the destinations in the islands that where you need to have planes? Do you not see any future for these destinations or hotels? Go ahead, Ma'am Christine.
Stephen, in fact, there's a plan by the Department of Tourism and by the Secretary, Bruno Romulo Puyat, that there will be corridors and there will be, they call it bubbles. And
Mm,
definitely there will be islands that would be helped by the government so that they don't necessarily go to the city, but through those islands like Batanes, like
mm,
Siargao, Camiguin, and definitely those people can go and visit those beautiful places.
mm. But and maybe just stay for 14 days while you're there.
Yes, why not?
Okay, thank you so much, guys. And once again, thank you for sharing your insights. Goran, I know you are in a work site, and you did your best to get through to us. Romel, Tina, I wish you guys all well, and I hope to see you once again in your destination or your hotel when all of this is lifted. Thank you so much, guys. Thanks for joining us.
Stay
Thank you,
safe,
sir.
everyone. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so just some takeaway from tonight's show. Goran mentioned that COVID has enabled us to live in an industry to change for the better and more efficiently. So we should really take that to heart. There's now a new priority to help not just the clients, but also the community that we are in. Christine, of course, says embrace sustainability and create awareness to give it a more national priority. It's all about nationalism right now. Sustainability will be a part of the renewed push for tourism as a national agenda. Actually, it's so funny now that this pandemic happened. Everybody now is taking care of the environment, so that's a good thing for us. Silver lining. Romel Marasigano says, we will be able to bring ourselves back by adapting to the situation and taking care of those who are in need, staying flexible and agile, not just for the company, but also for the consumers, so we can maintain consumer preference and loyalty. And of course, Tina mentioned a while ago that being agile helps. Like now that they're doing more delivery and coming together as a community. That's really the essence of what it is. As a final word, being also in the hotel industry, I think it's really important that you take the initiative right now to already start with your safety protocols. Health and safety definitely will be the new trend. Create those videos that will reassure your guests, collaterals, marketing collaterals that will promote how your hotel or resort is definitely adapting to the times, but make sure that it's not just a facade. Make sure that you really back it up with real science and real research to make sure that all of these procedures make sense. So just like any heartbreak, we accept it and we move on, because this is just what we do. We should move on, and the hotel and resort industry will definitely move on. Once again, this is Stephen Koo, and as I always say, it's not game over, it's just time to restart.